Hi, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Hi, good morning, Sanal. How are you?
I'm fine, sir. Center chef, you can go ahead.
Sanal, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, will you be curating or you just want me to talk?
So we have our Chef Senthil Kumar. He'll actually take the introductory part of this, and you can just talk about what you about your. You can just talk to our students about.
I'm fine to talk about myself first, and then you guys can take, if you want any questions to be answered, I'll be happy to.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, whenever Senthil is ready, I'm here. Are you guys all on the breakdown? Lockdown at the moment?
Yes, chef.
Yes, chef.
All having a good holiday.
A long off.
Long off, yeah. That's right. Once in a while, it's good, I guess. Not that too long. You need to get back to work. How many of you are there in this class?
Right now we are around 82 and counting,
Wow. Okay. Big group.
and we do have a streaming on YouTube Live.
All right. That's great. Fantastic. Is Chef Senthil on yet or not?
I think we'll start, sir. I think with the
Okay.
chefs and
Right.
join.
There are
Pranav?
6 people can see this. Very good. Some of you I can see your faces. So good morning, everyone,
Good morning, chef.
and thank you for joining me. My name is Atul Kochhar. I am a very proud IHM alumni, and it gives me a huge pleasure to be with you all.
Chef, let me start.
Yeah, go on, Sanal.
Good afternoon. As we all
Good
know,
afternoon.
as we all know about the code, people with great passion can make the impossible happen. Here we have such an example, an eminent personality, a Michelin Star chef, Chef Atul Kochhar. Atul Kochhar is the first Indian chef to get a Michelin star. Being born in India, Atul Kochhar developed an interest in Indian food. In the era when everyone was going to become a doctor or an engineer, Atul Kochhar had already made his mind up to become a chef. His unique talent has changed the way people perceive and experience Indian cuisine. He started his career working with the Oberoi when he was offered a job at the Tamarind UK as a head chef at the age of 24. Atul Kochhar has also published several cookbooks, including Curries of the World and Indian Essence. He also appears regularly on television and has competed in the first three series of Great British Menu. We have all had the dream of getting a Michelin star, but life stops us in a beat. And chef, life tried to stop you, but you worked hard and got not one but two Michelin stars to prove life wrong. Starting from IHM Chennai to being every aspiring chef's inspiration, owning world's most famous restaurants like Hawkins, Kanishka, Sindhu, and many more to come, you've done it all. We at IHM Chennai would love to welcome a person who did not follow the same path as everyone, but instead made a whole new path and left behind crumbs for us to follow. We welcome our alumni, Chef Atul Kochhar. Good afternoon, Chef, and over to you,
Good
Chef.
afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. I was saying good morning because I'm in London, so good afternoon to you all. I forgot that you all are sitting in India. So it gives me a huge pleasure to be among you guys, and thank you for having me. Sanal has given a more than uh, required and more than larger. I don't think I deserve all that what he said. I think I did everything what you would do in your forthcoming journey. So I'll just start take you back that where my upbringing started and how I landed up in Chennai. So I'm from Punjabi descent. My family migrated from Pakistan during the partition. So they lost out everything. My grandparents, my mom's side, grandpa was a baker in Pakistan, and he had to move to India to set up his life again. My father's side, my grandfather was a normal businessman, and they were farmers as well. And they also lost out everything. And my dad's side actually uh, died very quickly, and my father was left orphan at the age of 3, and he was brought up by his uncle and aunt, to whom I remain hugely grateful till date, because without them, my life wouldn't be what it is today. So, as my grandparents and ancestors, I think I owe it to them. So, moving on, my father and my mother met at Jamshedpur, where both the families had come and settled. My father was just a businessman and a passionate cook who went out to set up his own small catering business and became quite successful, in my own opinion. And he did fairly well. So I grew up in a family. I had 4 sisters and a younger brother, so quite a large family. Uh, but the best part of that was everyone was a great cook. And I think, except my brother, who just wanted to eat, didn't want to cook till date. He still maintains that. He says somebody has to cook, otherwise food will get wasted. Good philosophy, I would say, and it suited him well, and he works to it till date. So growing up in India, obviously, you live in such a I would say pressurized environment. We all do. Uh, I don't think life will ever change in India, and the way life exerts pressure on us, it's purely because we are such a huge number. We are such a big mass of people. Everybody is trying to win a space for themselves, and nothing wrong in that. To be honest, it's hugely competitive world, and my life was no different. I just had to fight for everything I could gather that time, be it the hotel management competition or the medical school or whatever exams or whichever school I went to right from the primary. However, that competitiveness gives you mental toughness. And I think in today's time, I feel that's incredibly important. So I find, and I'm not saying this because I'm of Indian descent and I live in the UK, but I live in a world which is quite open, and you get to compare people from different backgrounds and different walks of life. I get to see people of Indian descent to be a lot more mentally stronger than anybody else I come across. Rest of the world can give up very quickly, but Indian kids don't give up. They follow their dream, and I feel pity for the youngsters who give up very quickly, because you should not. The motto and the ethos of life is to never give up. Uh, make your life. These are my father's word, and I'm repeating to you guys that make your life as if your youngsters years are like water. They flow through all the problems rather than get stuck anywhere like a puddle. So it's very important that we adapt and adopt all the time, and that's what gets you to where you want to be one day. So coming back to my own journey, I studied at Chinmaya Vidyalaya school, and then went out to Chennai in the era when everyone was trying to be a doctor or an engineer. I I decided that I'll do a hotel degree because I just didn't see myself being a doctor, because I thought there were far too many doctors, far too many engineers, and I didn't see prospects for everyone there in the world. And I looked at the hospitality industry. I thought we have such a great heritage. So many things in our country to explore and learn, and hospitality is second to none. This must be a great field. And I connected with a lot of people. I was fortunate to be in Jamshedpur, and because it's such a cosmopolitan town, and people from different walks of life and different parts of India were there, I connected with lots of them whose kids were in different parts of the country, training and working in hospitality. So that gave me an insight that what hospitality could do as a career. And I knew it's not bed of roses, it's going to be tough. But then tell me what's easy. I didn't see any profession that would have been easier. So at least this was something which I was going with my heart and mind open, and I was going to enjoy it. And that's another thing which I learned at home from my parents, that pick up a profession which you would wake up with every morning and being very happy that you are into it. I know a lot of people leave hospitality now and then go and join and do different things. Those days, the choices were limited. You pick up a profession and you stick to it all your life. And that kind of gave me a sense that, yeah, I want to stay with hospitality. And also looking at my grandfather and also my father, that they stuck to hospitality till their last day. They did fairly well out of it. So my journey started. I took a train from Chennai. My parents came to see me off at the station. They were quite independent people, and they wanted me to explore the world on my own rather than holding my dad's hand or my mom's finger. So I boarded the train. It used to be called Tata Madras Express. I still remember. And I honestly don't know, guys, how long it took. It took forever to reach Chennai. Those days, it used to be Madras. And I made lots of friends on the way. And there was another chap who was from Jamshedpur going to join the same college. So that made life a lot easier. We had something in common. We connected very well. And that guy grew up to be my roommate eventually when I landed in Chennai. Great friend till date, like a brother to me, Bala. And we landed in Chennai, went to the college, Taramani campus, got greeted by the warden of the hostel. College was closed. I was way too early. I was, I think, 3 weeks earlier than college had to start. So for some reason, I made a big mistake of picking up that. And I was told that there's nobody in the hostel. You can stay if you wish to, or you can just take the admission, pay your fee, and you can go out and live with your relatives if you wish to. And I stayed in the hostel for a couple of days, got massively ragged by few seniors who were already in the hostel. It was good fun though. Got my catering haircut done. I had no hair left on my head that time. I still have some pictures. I look at them and smile and mesmerize the time I went through. While it was tough, guys, but that was one of the most beautiful times of my life, because I connected to, I don't know, 60 some individuals later in life who lived in hostel. And those guys pretty much became my family. And the rules of ragging were quite strict, but once the lights were set off, there were no rules. And that was the fun part of it. And that taught me a lot of discipline. I enjoyed it. I was scared like hell, but I also respected and enjoyed the friendship I was creating with them. And till date, I can pick up the phone and call any one of them for any help I need in my life, and I know the brotherhood will be there for me. So my journey started in Chennai. After that, I went back home for a few days and came back to join, and the college started. Chef Ramanathan was my first teacher. There were lots of them, to be honest, to say thanks, but I don't think I would be here where I am today without all of them. But Chef Ramanathan strikes out because he was standing right in the front of the BTK, like the captain of the army, and looking at the new recruits and telling them off and getting them into his kitchen and getting us started. But that's where my first impressions are, that college made me who I am today. There was very strict code of conduct. We had to follow strict rules. We had fun, don't get us wrong. We had our own fun on and off the college premises. Taramani was the biggest place of congregation where all the brilliant ideas were formulated over a cup of tea. That Anna poured that tea like a maestro. I think he still does. And a lot has changed around Taramani. Last I was in Taramani was I think about 5 years ago when we had 25 years reunion. to meet up my classmates, which was great fun. So college days were fantastic. I learned the basics, to be honest, going through BTK, QTK, and ATK, and also all the other subjects, because that time, even in my mind, it felt that there were a lot of things. Why do I need it when I have already made up my mind to be in the kitchen? I came to hospitality industry with one singular mindset that I'm going to join the kitchen. I never doubted my decision that I was going to be in the front of the house or wherever. But a lot of people actually decide over a period of time, and nothing wrong with that, because you need to explore and understand where you're going and what you're going to achieve out of it. But I enjoyed each and every aspect of it, even so that my profession wasn't ever going to cross uh, housekeeping, for example. But I didn't left any stone unturned. I did it diligently, did it sincerely, and there was so many lessons learned, because the mantra and what you learn in housekeeping, it actually carries throughout your life. When you become a professional, so when you're getting your professional premises cleaned, and who says that you will remain a chef? You'll become an entrepreneur one day. You might go and start bed and breakfast places or become a hotelier, and own hotels, and all those training will come very, very handy. So I would say every hour spent in the college, try to explore as much as you can. And I might sound like the guy from Three Idiots, but when I watched Three Idiots, and I thought, wow, this is so true. I wasted a lot of time, I'll be very honest, but there was a lot that I could have done more. So my request to all of you, back to you all, because you guys are amazing, and you come from a very hardworking country, and you all are very dedicated to the cause. I think you should spend as much time as possible, to learn the craft as much as you can, and don't leave any aspect of hospitality not absorbed before leaving the college. And anywhere and wherever you can get training, do it. Honestly, do it. These young years never come back. The only craving I have, I've reached 50 last year, and the only craving I had was, I wish I had more time to work with some of the more senior chefs in my time, or now also a lot of young chefs who are coming up with lots and lots of new techniques and doing fantastic things, which I can only look at and admire. But I don't have time, because I have my own responsibilities of my own restaurants, my own profession, my own business premises, which I need to run. I just can't find time. So when you have time, guys, put it to use. But remember, do have fun also. It's just not only work. If you just work, and then you might just become a dead brain, and you will look back and think, damn, I didn't do anything. And I listened to that Atul Kochhar, who gave me advice to just work hard. So I'm saying, have fun as well. It's very, very important. Connect to your friends, connect to your colleagues, connect to your batchmates. Get to know them now, because once you leave college, there's very little time to get to know each other as well. So 3 years, when I came to Chennai, I actually never returned home. All those 3 years, I whenever there was a school college holiday, I got invited into either to Andhra Pradesh or to Kerala or somewhere deep in Tamil Nadu, to my friends' houses, and I spent most of my time exploring southern India. And you will see that I've got a very strong bonding with South India, because you can, when you read my menus, you will see that how I explore them and how I go playing with them, because that's my memory, that's my nostalgia, and that's what my food is. uh, i I inspire a lot from South India, and I the only one of the regrets I have, that I explored my own country well, but not enough. I want to do a lot more, and hopefully, as time from here on, the time permits me, as I'm trying to take a little back seat and give other people more control of the business, hopefully I'll have more and more time to go and explore my country better and learn better, and maybe apply it better as well, because we don't have Indian cuisine. When the things are clubbed as Indian cuisine, that's the most irritating thing. We don't have Indian cuisine, guys. We have cuisines of India, and that's how we should be addressing it. And that's the best way to look at your own nation, and be very proud that you belong to this nation, because there is nothing like food of India, because what we have, nobody else has. When people say, "Oh, you Indians are easy because you use spices," so it's as easy as saying, "Yeah, you Europeans are also very easy. You all use potatoes, salt, and pepper." So you cannot club India like that, because India is, while it's divided and unified, well, for a lot of things, every space has its own ethos, and we got to respect that and learn them as much as you can. Recently, I opened a restaurant called Kanishka with northeastern influences. Guys, I'm a student. I know nothing about it. I have only scratched the surface. The technique of smoking, the technique of fermentation, the salting, how you preserve the food with the sun and the water. I I never knew that my country had so much. I would always look up to Europeans that, wow, they're great. Scandinavians know how to do all this. We don't. My God, you just have to go and visit to understand that how advanced we are, and we can teach the world the way we conduct things. So your own country has got a lot to offer. So that's another request and advice that I'm sure all of you have this dream in you, and you should step out of India and go and learn wherever you can and experience the life, or maybe settle also one day wherever you want to abroad, but explore your own country as much as you can, because that time will never come back. You will never be able to revert to it and say, I can do it later. That later never comes. So use your time intelligently, smartly, and put every resource you have into use so that you can achieve whatever you want to achieve in life. You will find, you will look back on your journey and you will feel very fulfilled. Yeah. The way I have regrets, you will also have regrets, but they are good regrets. Regrets that I couldn't connect to my friends, and I reach out to them. Some of them I wake them in the middle of the night without realizing that what time it is and wherever they are in the world. Regret that I didn't have enough time to hang out with them when they wanted to go out for gigs, and I said no, I want to study. That was a stupid move. I should have gone out for gigs as well, but never mind. There's some achieved, some lost. More time in the library. I know we didn't have internet. I might sound from dinosaur's age, or dinosaur myself, but internet had just started coming, and computer was introduced the year I got into college. Have you guys heard of something called MS DOS? MS DOS. It was the basic clicks and zeros and ones. It was a damn boring thing, but I didn't understand a thing when Chef Nagarajan was teaching us. But apparently, I was pretty good at it, and I don't know how. It was all fluke, I say. But I learned as much as I could, and then I think that basic teaching helped me to adopt computer later in my life, which helped me really well. So while you guys are in your own space, even in this lockdown, experiment. Don't be shy of asking questions. Explore. You have great knowledge tool internet these days to just click and find. So don't let that urge go. The day your urge goes away, that's the day you become a very boring person and you start feeling that you are sinking. So as long as you remain curious, you remain greedy in good way, uh, greedy to learn, greedy to achieve, greedy not to don't be greedy to put your foot on somebody's head to go ahead, but greedy enough to work hard to achieve what you want to achieve. I think that's when you will realize that life is so beautiful and there's so much more to achieve. So I'll go back on my journey again. I left Chennai. I got selected for Oprahs School of Hotel Management, which was a great thing to get those days, and I'm sure it still is, because I think it's one of the most wonderful colleges in the country to give you training as a professional. Uh, and I was very fortunate, to be honest. More than hard work and my knowledge, I put it down to being fortunate that I got through, and I never looked back. It was one college. When I stepped into it, I knew I was in the right place. I was with the right set of people, with the right-minded people, massively competitive. You had to perform every hour, forget every day, every hour to be in that slot. And going through those 3 years was one of the most eye-opening experience of my life. I learned ingredients. I didn't learn cuisines. I learned ingredients. What was truffle? what was Bordeaux as a wine, what was nori, what was nampla. All those things kind of come alive. Before that, I must have read about it, but this was my chance to touch, feel, cook, experiment, eat. All that came alive, and that was massive learning. I don't underestimate that. And I'm sure the other colleges, Welcome Group and Taj, they all are good. I'm not slating them, but I'm just talking about my journey, that it was fantastic to be able to go through Oprahs School. I think it has been a very good mother to me as a launchpad. I knew very quickly that Oberoi is going to be fantastic throughout, as long as I live here and work here with them. But I had personal emergency in my family. My parents had retired. I come from a very basic financial background, and my parents had tough time, and all my four sisters got married, and you know what happens when a parent has to get a daughter married. They're left with nothing. And then my younger brother fell ill. He got meningitis, and he was living with me in Delhi that time while I was training at Oberoi, or working at Oberoi that time. And I had no idea what meningitis was. When I took him to hospital, actually, doctor started screaming on me. He was only, I think, 20-year-old that time. And doctor said, he's going through hell at the moment. And if he doesn't get cured, either it's lifetime paralysis, or some kind of disease will be with him all the time, or he might just die. You have no idea that what's happening to him. And I just burst into tears. I had no idea, honestly, no idea. So anyway, I put him in the hospital, and I took time from hotel, and I started looking after my brother, which took about good 6 weeks for me, time off from school, from work. In between, I had to go do the night shifts because I had to cover some people. And that was the time I had to take a lot of debt. My parents couldn't afford it to save my brother. So I had to take a lot of debt to get him out and bring him back to life, which I didn't think twice. I didn't shy. He was all I had. I had to do it. And I did that. And that kind of threw me in a massive economic burden, if I may say that. And once he got cured, which was the biggest achievement till date of my life, I had to start worrying about that. For 7,500 salary, how would I service a debt which had piled up to about 6 lakhs in that time? I had no means. I couldn't look up to my parents. They're retired. They had no money. So only way I could do is to step out of the country. And I started looking at opportunities. I was never going to leave India, guys. I'm one huge patriotic person who never wanted to leave my country. I wanted to stay in my own country, serve my own people, and be there all my life. But this economic situation just pushed me out, threw me out completely. So I started looking for opportunities, and I got selected for P&O Cruises, Carnival, and the Royal Caribbean as well. I thought anything that'll get me out of here and make me earn money, I'll work out for 1 year and then come back and start my career again. That was the aim. And then I came across this job. They were looking for a head chef for a brand new restaurant to open in England. Other than knowing that English ruled us for 300 plus years, I knew nothing else about England other than reading history books in college time, knowing a little bit of English. I had no idea that what this country had to offer. But I was all after financial gain, and I needed to earn money to pay off the debt. So I took that job because Royal Caribbean and Carnival Cruises took time to respond. So I had to leave very quickly. So I left. And I landed in London to open a restaurant called Tamarind for a family business. And first 3 years, or the first year was quite difficult to be able to understand how Indian food worked here. When I saw Indian food here, it felt like that's how people used to eat in India in the previous century. That's how the Indian food was here, and it was really appalling, really, really bad. If I had to count 5 good Indian restaurants, I think I would struggle after number 2. There weren't any good Indian restaurants here. So in that time, to come and set up shop here and start cooking the food, people looked at me with amazement. They're saying that, what kind of food you're cooking? Where have you come from? It took about a year or so to get the recognition, and people started recognizing that he's doing a very different kind of food. And I had kind of pushed the boundary a bit more. I didn't want to follow the ritual of serving everything in the bowl and being a curry food. I thought Indian food can evolve. And I knew that time in India, Indian food couldn't evolve because we were too traditional. Here, I had blank canvas and I could push the boat out. I could have failed, guys, but I dared to make a change. I dared to be different. And I think that's what paid off. And people immediately started respecting, recognizing. It was, while I thought I was doing a great job, my father decided to pay me a visit. And I was very proud that dad has come to see me and to check me out what I'm doing. And this is about 2.5 years, so almost third year I was in. And my father said, "Okay, can you cook me a meal?" So I cooked him a meal, lunch, and I could see my dad getting really annoyed with the food he was eating. I knew my father really well, and whenever he would get angry, he would clench his jawbone. And from the window of the kitchen, we had a very fairly large glass between kitchen and the restaurant, and I could see my old man clenching his jaw many times. And that afternoon, my father never got angry with us. He always used to say, "Let's go for a walk." And that walk used to be the telling off time. So I got a lot of telling off from him. And he said, you come from a Punjabi descent. You went to South India and you never came home for 3 years, which I'm quite angry about. I missed you, but I respected that you were exploring and learning about your own country, which I loved. And then you went to Delhi, and then you have landed up in the UK. The food you're cooking is quite a mishmash. You have vegetables which don't belong to this country. You have seafood which I'm sure English water has never seen, and you're playing safe. You're cooking with lamb and chicken and no more. What are you doing? So I immediately understood what he was saying, and I was quite ashamed that working within India, I should have known better. That when I was in Chennai, it was all about local and seasonal food. When I was in Delhi, it was always about what was there in the market. And same thing was in Jamshedpur. Nothing changed. The ingredients might belong to the similar family, but they tasted very different, and they had different mineral content, and they had different makeup as well. So the cooking method had to adapt that how things can be done, and that's what exactly I had not done here. And after my father left, I took apprenticeships in different English kitchens around me, and then also worked with fishmongers, the butchers, the greengrocers, and the farmers to understand how things work. What do we grow in this country? How do we process it? How does it land on the table? And how do chefs utilize it in their menus? It was a big, massive research for me. It took about a year and a half for me to go through that cycle. And then I saw my menu changing. It was a beautiful change started happening. And I got more recognition, and I got the biggest recognition in 2001 in the form of a Michelin Star. I didn't know what Michelin Star was, guys. The day I was called by the guide and said, "We are called to tell you you got a Michelin Star," I thought somebody was pulling a joke on me, and I said, "No, we don't have a Michelin Star," and I kept the phone down. So this person called me back again. He says, "No, I'm calling you from Michelin Guide to tell you have been given a Michelin Star, and we are sending a photographer around to take a picture." I had the biggest grin I ever had in my life, and I think that grin remained on my face for the next 3 months. I had no idea what we had achieved. We were so happy as a team. And I told my father, I called him and said, "Dad, I got a Michelin Star." My dad had no idea what Michelin Star meant. So when I explained him, he said, "Oh, okay, this is a tire company. What are you so bothered about? Get on with your cooking. You're doing a good job." So he played it down, but I guess later he realized what Michelin meant, and he was very proud of it. And then my journey with Tamarind came to an end, guys. In 2002, I decided to leave Tamarind because I dared to do business after that, and I found 2 investors to open Banaras. And in 2007, end of 2006, I got another Michelin Star for Banaras. and started this business, opened the doors of Banaras in 2003. And I left Banaras end of 2018 to set up another company of mine called Kanishka Holdings. A group of investors have come together, and I want to open several more restaurants. And my aim is very simple. I want to explore the cuisines of India. I one of the reasons I got Banaras cuisine was fantastic. I created it from nowhere. We made a very modern Indian restaurant, flavors from different parts of the country, and put them on the plate with different texture, different flavors. Crazy ideas were executed. But there was a time to say, stop. I'm done with this. I was bored with it. And in last 2 years, I wasn't going anywhere. And I was very, very disappointed that I had not been able to grow. So I was unhappy. I needed a change. And the change came. When you request for a change, the change comes in your life. And I got the change and I got the direction. So I'm playing around at the moment with Northeastern flavors. Meanwhile, in all this happening, I away from London, around there's a road around London which is called M25, and within M25 is London. Outside M25 is suburban London. So in suburban London, I started opening tiny restaurants of mine, sometimes with business partners, sometimes on my own. And the business partner is a family only, but he needed help, so I went out to help him open. So I opened restaurants called Indian Essence in Bromley, and then I opened Sindhu in Marlow by the River Thames. Uh, I'm opening doors of my new restaurant called Vasu in on 10th of this month, again in Marlow, and that's also by the river. And then I have a restaurant called Hawkins. And the next year we'll have a restaurant called Mathura, which will be kind of pan-Indian restaurant, but exploring in a very different way. Uh, in that one, my aim is to draw upon inspirations from the neighbors we have around India. So people who live around us have got huge impact on our lives and our livelihood, on our style, the way we live, the way we eat. And I'm sure they, over a period of time, over centuries, they must have exerted some influence on us. And I want to kind of squeeze that influence and absorb it and make a cuisine out of it. So that's what the Mathura will be about. That. So each and every restaurant tries to explore different types of cuisines or different regions of the cuisine. So Indian Essence is actually a dhaba cuisine. So it it kind of emulates all the dhabas could do. So it's very rustic, very simple, very straightforward. Sindhu is a very refined South Indian cuisine. Vasu, it might sound a very South Indian name, but I just love the name. I think of 80 classmates I had in Chennai, 70 of them were called Vasu in one form or other. So the Vasu name has stuck with me. So I love Vasu. Using that name because I have always regarded that name to be a very beautiful name. So Vasu is actually going to be a North Indian restaurant. So I've given a spin and I got a lot of stick from my batchmates that it's a South Indian name. I said, yeah, go divide it. Take the piece from me if you can, but this is going to remain a North Indian Punjabi food. So it's a Punjab, Rajasthan, and New Delhi food. Hawkins is Anglo-Indian food because Sir William Hawkins was the first Englishman who landed in India in 1562 when Jahangir was still ruling country. So I used his name, and he came from that town where the restaurant is. So I used his name and his family's name as a heritage. And whatever I do in my life, it'll always have a story, a backstory that why we are doing it, because without our traditions, we are nothing. And I strongly believe that. So when I talk about tradition, there are two things I'm often asked about: authenticity and what is tradition. So tradition to me is we can't change it; we just follow it. Our ancestors have done it, our grandparents have done it, our parents have done it. We are doing it. Perhaps our children will do it, and that's the practice. Those are the ethos. Those are the values that you carry. Those are traditions. Tradition of cooking. Whereas authenticity is a very time-bound thing. Whatever is authentic to me today in the space I'm living may not be authentic to my grandchildren one day, because their space will be defined, their ethos will be defined in different times with the norms of that time. not what I'm doing. But whereas my tradition of cooking with spices will continue in my family. It was there before me. The rituals around the tradition will remain the same. I think we will follow them uh, to the T, and we'll keep them intact and pass it on generation to generation. But authenticity changes from time to time. So when people say your food is not authentic, fine, it's not to that person, but I know it's within my tradition. So I've got this criticism a lot of times that his food is not authentic. Media of the media, people not people. But I don't think anybody can define authenticity to anyone. My authenticity belongs to me, or to my time, or my practices. Whereas my tradition can be defined. I'm of Indian tradition. I'm of I call myself pan Indian person rather than a North Indian person or a South Indian person. So there's another story about me, guys. Living in North India from a Punjabi family, sorry, living in East India from Punjabi family. I was always a Punjabi boy in East India. When I came to Chennai to study, I was a Hindi boy in Chennai. I could never become a South Indian. When I left South India, came to Delhi, I had such a strong South Indian accent on me. I became a Madrasi in North India. So that's one of the reasons I left the country and came to United Kingdom, where people know me as an Indian and nothing else. So I always crack a joke on my background, that where I come from, and people say, where do you come from? I say, I got a very checkered background, very patchy background. So it's best that you just call me Indian and nothing else. So folks, I'll wrap up here. If you have any questions, I will happily take that. So there are some questions appearing on the side wall here. I'll see what I can all answer.
Chef, Arush will be taking care of the Q&A.
Sorry?
We have Arushi who's going to be taking on the Q&A.
Sure, Arushi, over to you. You have to speak slightly loud. I can't hear you.
Chef, may I ask a question?
Yeah, go on.
Chef, as I don't know how your syllabus was, but I don't understand why in India, in the first year, they don't teach students about the spices, the ingredients which Indians use, and why is French cuisine considered as a first priority?
Good question, and I have no answer to it. So I think it belongs to the people who design the curriculum. I think I tell you what, our catering industry was I feel that it was kind of based on English system, and English food is based on French system. And I think when the curriculum was decided, so we looked up to French stroke continental food more than to our own. Okay. Uh, I think it's time now that we change it. We got to teach our kids what we are made of first before we teach about others. Uh, it's true that French were the pioneers of aligning the principles of cookery, no doubt about it. Nobody can take that away from them. But who can tell us that what my cooking ethos should be, and how I should be, and what all spices I should be using? That is for us to decide as a country, as Indians. And I think time has come that we decide that. So at some point there will be bound to be a change, because if I'm talking about it, I'm sure a lot of my batchmates, my peers, my seniors, and people after me also are already thinking about it and bringing those changes. So I think this will happen, Nirmal.
Thank you, Chef. Is that the same thing which you learned during your college?
Yes, I did. I did. I have no regrets about it, to be honest, because it made me very strong. So as I also said, that learning is important. So knowing French cuisine has been always been a kind of a fantastic thing, to be honest. I worked under a French chef when I worked in Oberoi hotels. I had two French chefs, and both of them actually were two Michelin stars. And then I worked under a German chef also, who held his own Michelin star for a long time, and then he came to India to work for some time. So when I came here to to push Indian cuisine to the modern level, uh, didn't hesitate me at all because I kind of had the path to understand how to take this forward. But I'll repeat somebody else's word. Mr. V. Sangvi said once that the modernization of Indian food will happen within India. It will not come from abroad. And I respect that and I love it because that's what is likely to happen and should happen. Because I did what I felt was right. And I had to cater for non Indian clientele living here in the UK. It was my economic need as well that I needed to do that. But to be able to elevate the palates of Indians and the eating style and the cuisine of India, that has to be done in India, not abroad. So you guys have to do that.
So, Chef, why does it happen in India? We have not given more importance to our traditional cuisine. When they talk about Indian cuisine, it's just about pav bhaji. Mumbai is known only for pav bhaji. South is known only for dosa. When you go for North, they order only butter chicken or a dal makhani. So, is it our own tradition that we don't want to change, or is it we are more adapted to the pastas, pizzas, and other burgers thing?
So it's a it's a little time bound thing. It's a little generational thing. I think I have a lot of gray now, so I can talk with a lot more love and passion and respect than I did 25 years ago. So, if you tried feeding modern food to my father's generation, you will get a kick on your backside.
Sure,
Very simple. And I'm saying it very politely. You try feeding modern food to my generation, we will take it kindly and look at it and say, creative, very good, move on. You try doing modern food to your generation, people are going to say, this is all you could do when you're going to push the boundary. So you can see how time has changed us. Okay. So it's your space, guys. You got to experiment, you got to do different things, and you got to see how, yeah, it's a butter chicken at the end of the day, but I can tell you that I have served butter chicken in 100 different ways. Yeah. So it's up to you that how you serve it. I love to do the play. I love to put the most boring name on the menu, but what is presented on the plate is totally different. Yeah. Matar paneer for a vegetarian is the most simple thing. It comes in a bowl, and that's a traditional thing. You change that, the grandmother in the house will hang you upside down. But if you serve that for, let's say, and I'll say it in pound terms because that resonates more with me, for 15 pounds in my restaurant, a bowl of matar paneer, an Indian person visiting from India will definitely shoot me for that. So, but if it was presented in a very different way and created in a different way, there were 2 textures of paneer and the 5 textures of matar on that, and still had the authenticity of the flavor and all the norms of the tradition, I think I'll get a thumbs up on that.
yes, yes.
So I think you just have to explore. Cuisine was never static, guys. We don't forget that we have been an independent country only for 70 years. We were not even allowed to think freely 70 years ago. What might seem very easy to you guys was not natural to our ancestors. So where we are today is time bound, and internet has connected you guys in a very fast pace to the Western world where uh, slavery was never an option or was never seen. Let's put it this way. So I think for us to come out of that mentality and push ourselves to the same podium, on the same podium where the rest of the world's cuisines are standing, has taken some work, has taken a lot of beating, a lot of pushing, and a lot of pulling. But you guys don't carry any baggage of all that. You are truly modern Indians. So the stage is set for you guys to push the boundary a lot more and make it one of the greatest cuisine, the space that it deserves.
Yes, chef. One question from the juniors, which I hear most of the times, that are the chefs in the Michelin, how easy or how difficult is it to get and sustain a Michelin star? And are the chefs always under pressure? Are they always high tempered? Or during the high service time, they start abusing? Is that true?
Okay, how many of you have been in a professional kitchen by now? Some of you have,
Yes, sir.
or not yet? Nirmal, do you know how many of you would have? There are about 93 people. Out of them, I would say 30-35% people would have seen the professional kitchen by now.
Yes, sir. Certainly.
Yeah. So it's a very high pressurized environment, and it doesn't matter which part of the world it is in. Okay. You have a meeting and greeting time in the kitchen when you are said, okay, have you had breakfast? You had coffee, and in 15 minutes time, the pressure changes, get into mise en place mode, and it's a quiet time in the kitchen because everybody has got the heads down on the chopping boards or prepping, and what they're doing, they have to just continue. And then half an hour before, hell breaks. Half an hour before the service, hell breaks, because that's the time everything needs to be organized on the pass, on in the fridge, on the meat fridge, on the curry section. Everything needs to be ready because chef comes for inspection 10 minutes before that, and if things are not right, you are going to get your backside caned. That's for sure. And then when the service starts, there's a pin drop silence, and only muttering goes on the sections, and it's only chef's voice you hear. And if you don't pitch up and you don't give your product to the chef in time on the pass, you're going to get your backside canned again. So it's a very highly pressurized environment. So the chef who's standing there, while he might pretend to be cool, he has got lots going on. There are 30 tickets on the counter, and he has to remember starter, main course, desserts, and everything has to follow in a synchronized manner. It's like, you know, I have always said this, that the chef is the boss of the orchestra. He exactly knows who to call for, who, what to do, and where to perform. So it takes a lot of tuning, a lot of tuning. So it's a very pressurized job. It's not an easy thing. And people who are sitting out there, they are paying a lot of money to be in your restaurant. They want great ambience, great service, great food, everything impeccable. And 90% of that responsibility lies on the shoulder of that chef. So he carries a lot of weight, a lot of pressure. Okay, so I'm wrong to say 90%. I would say 50-50. Front of the house is also carrying that pressure. So I take my words back. So in the kitchen, he's just carrying all that pressure, and he needs to take that. So coming back to your thing that why chefs are grumpy. No, I don't think chefs are grumpy. They're perfectionists.
Yes,
Ask a painter who made a beautiful painting and just one stroke of brush spoiled it. How's he gonna feel about it? Yeah. So it's like that. So you've done all that work, and one little order, which comes back from the table, spoils the entire evening. And you don't want that. You really don't want that. So it's pretty much like that.
yes, chef.
Okay,
I will
Thank you,
allow
chef.
I think we should proceed and take the questions which are now in the chat box. Chef, I hope I'm audible.
Yeah, you are better now.
Okay. So first question is from Anjali. Would you prefer us to start our working journey with restaurants and apprenticeships rather than joining a hotel for their MT or OT programs? So, Chef, what are your thoughts on that?
You know, I don't know how to answer that because it doesn't have to be hotels or it doesn't have to be restaurants. I think it's your own personal preference that where you want to go and what you want to do. In my time, there were only hotels. So I think you need to draw out your learnings, write it on a piece of paper that what do you want to achieve? What are you trying to seek? And whatever little time you have. And I would really entice all of you that whatever little time you have in your holidays or in your breaks, go and work. Even if you go work for 1 week or 10 days, but please do into the area where you want to go. Okay. If you're a kitchen person, go to the kitchen. If you're at the front of the house, go to the front of the house. If you are front office, go to front office. Put hours now, guys, to have better life when you are slightly older. So the more, because your absorption rate of learning is a lot more now than it will be later in life, because there are more pressures of life that come along and take the space in your mind and in your space. But the young age kind of propels you. If you put more hours now, it propels you to be a better person, better professional in the later years.
Chef. The next question is from Vineet Raj. What are the factors that one should keep in mind while playing with modern science in the kitchen with dishes?
Modern science. And when you're saying modern science, do you mean molecular gastronomy?
Yes. What are your thoughts on introducing molecular gastronomy to your dishes?
So when molecular gastronomy came, I learned each and every ethos of it, but I decided not to practice it. The reason I was again, I think it's my personal ethos than anybody else's, and if I apologize to you in advance if I offend any of you. But for me, my cultural heritage is so strong that I didn't need to rely on any gimmick. That's what my ethos were. And I also thought our farmers are working incredibly hard and perhaps using a lot of chemical fertilizers to grow the food. As a chef, if I throw in more chemicals to produce the food to put on the plate, that would be real shame. The soul of the food will be lost. So on that kind of moral ground, I just never touched any of the chemicals in my food, and I still don't. My kitchen is banned of all those chemicals. So you want to modernize the food with your thinking, modernize the food through your creativity, modernize the food through the inspirations around you. Take the inspiration from nature. There's nobody better teacher than nature around us. There are ethos of molecular gastronomy that can be put into use. Use them sparingly, use them cleverly, use the science of it, but you don't use to have the chemical combination of it to make your life easy. So a lot of people started making molecular gastronomy a gimmick and how fun it is to play with, and taking liquid nitrogen next to the guest and pouring it on the custard and mixing it and giving the ice cream to the guy. Those are all stupidity, guys. The best ice cream is still made in the little churner, which churns the ice crystals to the smallest ice crystals possible. So don't get into all that. My request would be that. But it's your world. You can take wherever you want to go.
Okay, next question we have from Kali Prasad. Who has been your inspiration?
Gosh, the list is endless. I don't know where to start from. Everybody and everybody. Anybody who taught me even a small skill or a small craft has been my inspiration. So taking big names is very easy. I could tell you Manjeet Singh Gill, Chef Cyrus Toriwala, Gagan Anand. I can tell you all that. They are from 3 different spaces, and they are friends and family to me now. But then that little chef who taught me how to string the beans more effectively, a little Bangladeshi guy who taught me how to peel the garlic more easily than breaking your nails. The guy who taught me how to skin the chicken under 30 seconds in the butchery. They are all unsung heroes who are here in my mind and in my heart, and they're all my teachers, and I love them.
Next question we have from Rajneesh. Being a chef, how much of it is actual skill, or how much of it is talent that you're born with?
Gosh, it's a very rounded up question. Skill and talent. I think I'll handle it slightly differently. Okay, so as a chef, and I would call it as a business chef, the way I see myself, 30% is the business acumen, 30% is the creativity, and rest is all the time in the kitchen. You want to call it cooking time or administrative time or running the kitchen time. So I think just creativity or talent alone cannot make you a chef. Okay, even when you want to be a great chef, you just want to cook and you just want to remain creative, there is some amount of management skill you need to have. How will you manage your ingredients? How will you manage your recipes? How will you manage your space where you're working? So that management skill has to come. How you manage people around you, that's also management skill. The business skill is, you have become a chef and you have structured the menu, whether you should charge, whether you should keep 30% as your food cost or 22% as your food cost, and what you should be selling at. and how you do the menu mix. All those are management skills and the admin skills. So I think you have to grow up in a rounded up way rather than thinking, I just have to learn the skill and the talent. It's not that. So I think what you were trying to understand was the skill and the talent. I think you wanted the creativity, if I'm not wrong. The skills are the ones you learn from others, from the school, from the college, from your peers, from your teachers. And the talent is, or the creativity is inborn. But that will not come to any use if you didn't have the skills. So remember that the skills are incredibly important to make your creativity alive.
The next question is by Varun. Could you tell us how do you maintain the right work and life balance, and how do you cope up with the long working hours?
I'm still finding the answer for it. Okay, and thank God you're asking this question when my wife is not around. She would answer this better. So the way I do it, guys, I have a very long day as a chef. I after becoming a businessman, I've forgotten what day is my day off. But you have to bring some discipline in your life to have the good balanced family life as well. That's very, very important. When you guys become big and successful, just make sure that you keep plenty of time for your loved ones, because you are who you are and you become what you become because they sacrificed a lot. But you don't forget them. You put them first before anything else. That's very, very important. So I, ever since my children were born, I think my wife, obviously, she has supported me throughout what I've done. But once my children were born and they started school, I realized very quickly that I come home late and I'm sleeping in the morning when they leave for school. So, and that was no good. I didn't see them for weeks, to be honest, and I would see them only on the weekend when I'm home, and that was no fun. I wasn't enjoying my fatherhood. So I made a pact with myself: no matter how late I would come home, I would wake up in the morning and cook their breakfast before they head out to school. So that gives me good hour and a half. So both my children are teenagers now. My daughter is 16 and my son is 14, and there hasn't been a single day in my life when I haven't woken up to cook their breakfast and give them their packed lunches. So it's a joke in the school that these two kids bring Michelin Star lunch to school, but that's a different story. I had to pack extra sometimes. Their favorite dishes, I have to pack them extra for their friends, which is okay. I enjoy doing that. But always make time for your loved ones, because if you don't do it as a discipline, it'll never happen, and it just strains the relation, and which becomes very painful. You don't want to go there.
Thank you, Chef. That was really lovely. The next question we have from Mayank. How do things change once you earned your Michelin star? And did it change your outlook towards your craft now?
So my world did definitely change once I earned the Michelin star. People started looking at me very differently, while I didn't change. Okay, I strongly say that, and I believe that I never changed. I am still the same person who I was, the guy who went to Chennai, IHM Chennai, and has made his way to London. My attitude still remains the same. And my principle is very simple. I like to cook what I like to cook because I enjoy cooking that. Things exist on my menu because they happen to be in the nature and the season, and that's why I put them on my plate. And I will continue to cook and continue to evolve the way I want to evolve and learn from others. However, one day it can happen that my cooking ethos might differ from what Michelin thinks their ethos are, and they take my star away. I will have no regrets, because I want to enjoy what I do. I don't cook for Michelin. I cook for my guests and for my own sanity. So it's very important that you remain true to yourself. I've seen a lot of chefs get sucked into Michelin system, and there are chefs who have lost their lives because they felt that they were going to lose the star. Chef Bernard Loiseau, about 10 years ago, took his own life. So please don't get sucked into that system. You don't cook for anybody else. Cook for what you believe in.
The next question is from Aditya. What are the factors you consider while creating a new dish?
Uh, Seasonality is the topmost thing. So I'll give you a very classic example. When spring and summer is about to come, the ideas start bubbling in my mind. So ingredients suddenly start popping as they are. The green shoots come out of the ground. There are shoots coming out in my mind. Also, the things I want to do. So wild salmon, um, asparagus, fennel, strawberries. These are the things. Whatever my nature gives me, things around me, I love to cook with them. So I I consider what grows in a patch next to each other is also very important. So if you observe the nature carefully, guys, and I'll give you a very classic example. Broad beans here in the UK grow very close to where the stem broccoli grows. And try mixing the two. The flavor is just monumental. It's just beyond this world. And very simple flavor if you put into it, your seasoning. You just use those three basic seasoning, I would say. Put red chili, put cumin, put coriander, put salt, put a little bit of lemon juice, and just saute it all together. You wouldn't have tasted anything as beautiful as that. So Mother Nature has already done the job. So as a cook, you've got to do very little. So you've got to be a clever cook to understand what Mother Nature is doing around you, and your flavors will always be impeccable.
Chef. The next question is from Balakrishna. What message or what advice would you like to give young entrepreneurs?
To young entrepreneurs, never give up, guys. When you say when somebody says there's no way, trust me, there's always a way. So never give up. Failure should not be an option. It should not be on your cards. But in deep in your heart, always have a plan B and a plan C also, because plan B can also fail. So you've got to have plan C, how to make it work. So never give up. That's what I would say.
Thank you, Chef. Now we'll be taking the last question. This is from
Mhm.
Aditya. Why are there more Michelin star restaurants abroad versus in India?
Because Michelin stars don't operate in India. Very simple answer. Michelin hasn't considered India as a country worthy of Michelin stars yet, but it doesn't mean that it will not change. 5 years ago, they never thought that Hong Kong, Bangkok, or Kuala Lumpur can get Michelin stars. Now they do. We just have to elevate ourselves to that level, and I'm sure we'll get it too.
Thank you, Chef. Now we'll be moving on to the next section of this webinar, which will be a rapid fire. So, Chef, are you ready?
Yeah, always ready.
Okay, first question. Which is your favorite cuisine?
Indian.
Which is a food trend or technique that you love to use?
Sorry, food technique or trend?
Any trend or food technique that you like to use?
Smoking. The smoking of food, not smoking, guys. Take it easy.
An ingredient or food combination that you don't like to use at all?
There's nothing like that I don't like to use. I'm always willing to experiment.
What keeps you moving in your career? What keeps you motivated?
A positive mindset. You have to tell yourself you're a happy person. The day you start saying, oh, what a miserable day it is, the weather is bad, the people are bad, everything is bad around me, then you get pushing yourself into negative sentiments. Always tell everything is good. I'll go back to those three idiot meme, all is well. But you should say all is excellent, and be happy. Have a big smile you can wear, the biggest smile you can ever wear, and your life will start smiling at you.
Well said, Chef. If you wouldn't have been a chef, what would you see yourself doing?
Oh God, pot washer.
Okay.
I want to be around cooking.
Okay. Who is your biggest food critic?
These days, my son. He's the fussiest food eater I've ever come across. I just dread. I hope he doesn't become a food critic one day, a professional one.
What was your go-to hangout spot or restaurant in Chennai during your college days?
Oh, Kanakam, come on, everybody knows that.
Any shop or restaurant in particular, or just all the
So
stalls?
A lot of them actually. I think Kanakam was one place, and there was one. There was only in my time. There was only one little dhaba, if you want to call it. And this Thambi used to just make incredible tea. I can still taste his tea, to be honest. But there are lots of old hangouts there. And in those days, they were very well known. There used to be a Rain Tree restaurant in Coromandel, no, Connemara, but had very limited money, couldn't afford it. But that was one of my favorite restaurants. And if it's operating, when I get back, I'll definitely eat there again.
That was, I think a lot of people could relate to that aspect. Next question, and the last question. If you got to have one last meal before you died, what meal would it be?
Rajma chawal made by my mother.
So lovely. Thank you so much, Chef. I would be handing it over now to Pranav. Pranav, are you there?
Yeah, thank you. Okay, Chef. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Chef, for motivating us to think out of the box, to imagine the unimaginable, and for helping us to take the step in the right direction. I would like to thank our principal, Sri Sanjay, Sri Vatsap, our HOD, Parmala ma'am, senior faculty, Dr. Eugene, and Chef Sendil. I would also like to thank Sanal, Nagarjun, Arushi, and Rachna for making all of this possible. And Chef, I would again like to thank you for making all the webinar a huge success and for being the reason we can all put our heads up high and scream to the world, I am a chef from India. Thank you all. And lastly, I would like to thank the audience for being a part of the webinar and hope to see you all for the next one too. Thank you so much. Chef, really good.
Thank you guys. Good luck. Stay positive. I know the lockdown time is a tough time, but a lot of things before this also came and they all passed. The most important thing is to stay in the positive mindset. Things will be all right. You all will smile, shine, and reach to the massive heights one day. And I look forward to be able to cook with you all one day. Take care. Love you all. Good luck.
Thank you so much, Chef. Go Mad Cats.
Right. You all will smile, shine, and reach to the massive heights one day. And I look forward to be able to cook with you all one day. Take care. Love you all. Good luck.
Thank you so much, Chef. Go Mad Cats.
Bye.